If you want to get the top odds every time, bet with TopSport's Same Game Multi. TopSport. Feel the excitement.
Gamble responsibly.
Well, Magic Round has come and gone, and for its final act, did a disappearance act. Trent Barrett's gone, and a few other Bulldogs have followed him out the door. Never fails to be a story in the great game of rugby league. So plenty to discuss on this week's episode of the Same Game Multi Podcast. Thank you again for joining us. And to do so are the lads, Mr. Jared J. Rod Burton in the pink hat. How are you, mate?
Boys, fabulous. It's good. A good little weekend of football, that too. I loved almost every game. Almost.
It was good, wasn't it? And Mr. Matthew Mark Cherry, the Black Hornet. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Afternoon, boys. Ready to roll again.
Some good performances over the weekend. We will touch on that a bit later, boys. But looking forward to the next round and plenty of footy to happen this week. And to talk us through everything punting and all the markets is our main man, the CEO of TopSport, and that is Tristan Merlehan. And he joins us right now. How are you, Tristan?
Yeah, good, boys. I enjoyed nearly all the games from Magic Round as well. There are a couple that I probably wish I wasn't watching, but the rest were all very, very good. So it was good. It was a shame the weather had a little bit of a part to play, but I think it was still great to see so many fans turn out and support a really good concept. And I think as much as I know you guys are Sydney siders, I think Brisbane do it really well in that sense. And there are a stack of people that were up here on the Gold Coast before the footy and headed up to Brizzy, so it was a really good atmosphere and it went really, really well. It'll be interesting. I know there's a lot of talk about what's going to happen next year over which side misses out on that Magic Round, because I'm sure it's very lucrative for all the teams as well. So another little one that we've got to consider when we've got the extra team in the comp. Yeah,
100%. I put it to the boys the other day that the bottom 8 teams on grand final day should put forward their fastest man, old-fashioned 100-metre dash. Whoever loses, their team's cut. I reckon nothing like a bit of pressure to make you run fast.
Absolutely, considering I think it's up around 400, 450, 470 is the money a side will get. So that determines on who the home and away side is. So when your club's got 450 grand at risk, you want to make sure you're quick.
Yeah, 100%. It'll make it interesting to see how it goes. Mate, before we jump into this week's game, we might hit you with our TopSport Top That Moment of the Round. For those that are new to the show, each week each of us will select a moment out of last week's round what we thought was the best, and Tristan will be the judge. I think I won last week, boys, so that gives me the honour of going first. I did have a couple to choose from this week, and I think I know the one that will win, but I'm not going to go with that. I like to go a bit left of field, but I'm going to go Adam Reynolds, the old chip and chase, bringing back the old Alfie Langer chip and chase is fantastic. So he had a great game, but the old chip and chase come back. I think there was a couple over the weekend as well. Sammy Walker might have done one as well, and with that fullback defending up in the line these days, there's a lot of open pasture in the background. So that's my mate, the chip and chase from Adam Reynolds.
Yeah, that certainly was a good moment. That was actually mine as well. We discussed that before the show. But I'm going to sneakily change mine so we have 3 different ones. Mine running straight off that, and that was the try celebration from Adam Reynolds when he jumped up, gave the old Broncos logo a nice little tap, and I'm here to stay, boys.
Yeah, he seems
I thought that was really good. He just had an awesome game. He just ran that field like nothing else. For me, that was the game of the round.
Yeah, even though Manly didn't score any points. So, Birdo, yours, mate?
My TopSport top that moment is Aaron Woods just randomly trotting off into the wilderness. I have no idea what goes on in that bloke's head, but I tell you what, near brought me to tears when they showed replays. The bloke, I don't know what he's doing. He just trots off.
Oh, it's classic. I saw it on Instagram and it was just like a reel, so it just kept replaying. Oh, it's hilarious.
I don't know what he was doing.
Over to you, mate. But before we do, the one I thought was going to win, that I thought was going to be yours, was the Murray Talangi pass infield to Scotty Drinkwater for the Cowboys' first try. That's what I thought you were going to go with.
Totally forgot. I was absolutely frothing over that.
It was good. So if any of us don't win, mate, you can put that in if you like. So over to you, mate.
This is a very clear winner for me this week. The first 2 options are both relating to the Broncos game. And as I said, I enjoyed most of the games out of Magic Round. I did not enjoy 1 minute of the Broncos. The punters absolutely belted us in that game. So Adam Reynolds, he stole the show. He did a very good job. A great try celebration, but out of principle, I cannot give that as the winning. And
He's off
Secondly,
off the Christmas card list then, mate.
yes, and secondly, the introduction of the TopSport Top That moment for the third selection against whether it gave the TopSport Titans, a couple of points, one of Aaron Woods' brain fades. I think that's got to go up there into why it goes as the TopSport Top That moment of the week. I thought it was very funny as well. It probably wasn't the greatest game to watch, but at least it was close and it was in pay. And then that probably summed up the effort where it was a tight game, but probably not the highest quality. So I'm going to go the Aaron Woods, whatever was happening in his brain, as the moment of the week.
He has a couple of those in him. I remember State of Origin a few years ago. He went to do the old try celebration and just jumped over over everyone. It was classic. So, fantastic. Birdo gets the win. Nice to see.
Well done,
I was kind of getting sick of winning, so I'm glad someone else did.
About time I was going to ring Tristan and just slip him a 50 in the
mate, we'll get into a few of the games this week, and a couple I wanted to have a chat about. Saturday afternoon/night, there seems to be a couple of good games on, and that's the first one's the Cowboys up against the Melbourne Storm. Now, the Storm got hammered last week against the Panthers, but the Cowboys are looking hot, mate. Where's the money going for this? I'm really interested in this game to see how the Storm might bounce back as well.
Yeah, well, not only the Storm bouncing back, I think this is going to be the real acid test for the Cowboys. They've got a pretty tough run over the next 3 or 4 weeks, so they've been unbelievable. I think they've surprised everyone with how well they've gone over the start of the season, and now they get to take on a Storm who are without Pappenhausen, and they've got Jerome Hughes back into that side, but whether he will actually front up is another question. So they've probably they're a bit fortunate they're getting this game at home, but it's $2.60 to Cowboys, $1.50 to Storm, and the line's 5.5. It's gone from 6.5 into 5.5, 6 flat into 5.5. But I think we need to monitor the team list, because if Jerome Hughes doesn't play, it will obviously change a heap. This game, I think we've seen how strong defensively both these sides are. I know Penrith scored a few points there last week, but generally the Storm and the Cowboys are both very, very good defensively, and I think under 39.5 at $1.90 might be a decent bet there.
Yeah, I actually changed my tip last week when I heard Jerome Hughes was out. I actually picked Melbourne, but I changed it to Panthers once I heard he was out just before kickoff, and glad that I did. So we'll be monitoring that team list, that's for sure. Birdo, did you want to... Next game there, the Roosters...
Yeah, the Roosters, they'll play... Who have they got? Penrith. Yeah, they got Penrith.
Pennies.
Penrith fairly well convincing against, what would you say, still a very competitive Melbourne side. Where's the money going there, Tristan?
Yeah, money's actually headed back the Roosters' way. The Roosters surprised me. I thought Parramatta would be way too good for them last week, and the Roosters jumped out to that big lead, and they threatened to give it away for a little while, but they held on and got the result. This is a big rivalry game. Obviously, these teams played in the grand final in 2003, so they love fronting up against each other, and it's $3.80 the Roosters, $1.27 the Panthers, 9.5. That line's come in from 10.5 into 9.5 and $4 into $3.80. So bit of money for the Roosters, but Penrith's just so professional. Whether there's a little letdown after their couple of big performances against the Eels and the Storm, we don't know. But at the moment, Penrith's short, and I think they'll be wanting to keep their winning streak going, or their winning run going.
They're looking good, that's for sure. They're looking really good, Penrith. They dominated Storm. I know they had a few players out last week, but geez, they look good. I wouldn't like to be coming up against them, that's for sure.
Just the consistency of their overall. There's just no faults.
Yeah.
Like that's why they are so strong. Tristo, this one's for you, mate. This one, we're going to look at the Titans and Sharks odds for this weekend. Now, Sharkies have been, wouldn't say unlucky, but a little bit disappointing to watch the last couple of weeks. Mate, do you reckon the mighty Titans are going to roll them on the weekend?
I think this is going to be a tight game. The Sharks are still a very good team, as you say. They got beat last week, but that game against Canberra, the underdog always seems to lift in that game. It's just been historic where the underdog has a very good record. I think Will Kennedy's been so key to that team, and him out of that side, I don't think people maybe factored in how important he's been. He's obviously not there again this weekend. We've got a debutant coming in playing up the back. The Titans got the result, but they probably a little bit lucky to do so. I thought Jaden Campbell looked really good up the back. He's obviously still a little bit vulnerable in defence, but geez, he adds an X factor to that team. So if it can be a dry day and they can play some attacking and free flowing football, then I think there's certainly a chance. So looking forward to it. Seabus Stadium, hopefully get a big crowd out there, and the boys can try to string two together.
Jermaine Osako, mate, was his foot out the other day, do you reckon, or was it well and truly in?
I thought the foot was in, but I actually, watching it on the first replay, I thought he might have bobbled it, and I can't remember the last time that they've gone upstairs and then actually awarded the try. It was a strange one. As soon as they went upstairs, I thought, here we go.
Yep.
And then, like, on first look, it looked like he dropped it, but then in retrospect, obviously, he did ground it. But, the foot was close. And, I think very fortunate there, the Titans. They got probably the call that it was awarded a try on the field, which I think is always the way to revert back to. But, when it went upstairs, the heart was in the mouth for sure.
Yes, I bet. That's the 3 games that we wanted to cover off, mate, 3 of the bigger games this weekend. But yourself, you wanted to let the listeners know about some exciting markets that you have with TopSport?
Yeah, we have a set of markets there, which we know how popular the Supercoach and the NRL.com fantasy is, and there's a lot of people that get involved in that. So we've created our own player performance market, which gets released on game day on every event. So it goes off the NRL.com statistics. So basically, players get 1 point for every tackle they make, 4 points for every point they score, 10 points for every try assist, 5 points for every line break, and 0.1 points for every metre they run, which gives them a player performance score. We have, groups of 3 head-to-head, over and under for about 6 or 7 different players. So check that out on the website on game day for every one of those games. It really does add an extra layer of interest and intrigue to those markets. They're very popular betting affairs, and it gives you, an option if you think the hooker's going to make a lot of tackles, or you think the fullback's going to be returning balls and making a lot of run meters. And there's definitely options there for you to invest and have an opinion on those markets.
I think with that market there too, it'll make games like the Bulldogs Tigers game this weekend a little bit more interesting to watch. If you did have a couple of bets with the player performance markets there too.
Yeah, good shout.
Oh, it certainly will. Yeah, definitely.
Dylan Edwards, he'd be the one for the running meters. He's averaging over 220 or something at the moment. Jeez, he's playing really well. So that's great. We do have, I know a few of our listeners are into the fantasy league, so that'll be really good for them to check out as well. So fantastic. Just another great market from TopSport, plenty over there. Make sure you head on over to the website, topsport.com.au. Set yourself up an account. Use the code SGM Podcast when you do. And that way Tristan will know that you listen to the show and you want to support a great Aussie company like TopSport. Thanks again, mate, for joining us. We appreciate it each and every week. And we'll have a chat next week.
Speak next week, guys, and everyone having a putt. Hopefully back a winner on the weekend.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, buddy. See ya. Fantastic. Love having him on. Great insight into the punting world from the other side of it, I suppose you can say. And didn't seem very happy there with the Broncos win at all, did he? might have lost a quid or two, I reckon. So
the rivals, Queensland rivalry there. So
that old
might have a different one coming up next year. The Titans might be battling the Dolphins and Broncos Cowboys. So
yeah.
That old chip and chase reminded me of the old schoolyard footy. Sort of brought back a few memories. I just had a thought when we were talking to Tristan before about that with that team missing out next year. What if they put the North Bears in to play the Dolphins next year?
Well, they could do an exhibition match with the Bears in against maybe the bottom team that misses out this year or something like that, because the Dolphins, I think, have to play there. They'll be up probably against Brisbane, I reckon. I think you'll find, although they do Brisbane Manly as a traditional Magic Round game, would not surprise me at all if it's Brisbane versus Dolphins next year at Magic Round. Can you imagine that? Yeah,
well, if you're going to bring one of the reserve grade sides up and play one of our low sides, they'd probably end up getting a win. So wouldn't be hard to beat the Bulldogs at the moment.
Be like Australia A beating Australia in the cricket.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Boys, let's get into
you are off. Don't talk to me.
The send off each and every week. We pick a moment from last week's round that we don't particularly like and who we want to send off. And I'm going to throw to Mr. Cherry first because I know you're loaded, mate. Who you got?
Mate, that's why I didn't wear a hat today. I'm still steaming watching that. Mate, the bunch of marauding lewds punching on up in the grandstands at bloody Magic Round. Now, I don't know whether it's because I've got kids and if I had my kids there watching it and stuff, very, very put off by it. Probably years ago, I might have had a different mindset back when I was younger and wild.
But you would have been in there with them?
No, I wouldn't know. But no, it just sort of ruined it. Just sort of ruined that nice sort of atmosphere that they had going there, especially like a nice weekend, people taking extra time off work, families and everything. Just a bit of a buzzkill for me, and I'm still a little bit pissed.
I think they were, speaking of pissed, I think they were pissed as well. But what the problem is there too, when you play, when it's, a sport and it's a big sporting venue like that, you can see the colours. Watching the replay of that fight, you can see that guilty. There's a couple of Parramatta fellas in there, Raiders, Newcastle,
Broncos.
Broncos. So unfortunately, it wasn't just one crew. There was many different supporters were guilty. So. I've got three. Aaron Woods. I don't know.
So here's your top that moment as well.
So top that. I'm in there to win. So at the same time, realistically, if you're the coach, do you pull him aside and go, mate, what the fuck is going on? These sort of things seem to be happening too often. You're playing
brain fade, wasn't it?
Well, he's a professional athlete. He gets paid to do that, so he gets paid to just randomly run upfield, and literally that almost cost a try in his exact defensive position.
Yeah.
My other one is to the penis that was talking trash to Jackson Hastings in the crowd.
Yep.
It's rather severe when you get arseholed from a venue, and was actually pointed out. So, and my third one is what's going on in the water with the death of Andrew Simons.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on? We're losing some of our best.
Wrap Glenn McGrath and Ricky Ponting up in bubble wrap and don't let them leave the house for 6 months, I reckon. Because honestly, that was a shock. I couldn't believe that when it happened. So,
Was he 47?
46, yeah.
6.
I thought he would have been older than that, to be honest. But anyway, nevertheless, it's still gone way too early. For me, boys, it's the talk about Sydney to get host Magic Round. Like, get fucked. Honestly, you have that much football where you can't get crowds anyway. Your stadiums are too far out of the city. Keep it at Brisbane. Not that I've ever been, but from everything I heard, it's fantastic. You've got the stadium's nice and close to the city. Or the only other place it should go is New Zealand, I feel. And again, their stadiums might not be in the city, but I think the NRL and the whole community owes it to New Zealand to take something like that there to give back to those New Zealand fans and just to rebuild the interest in rugby league again over there. They haven't had a game for 3 years, I think, by the time they get back there. So, you lose a lot of supporter base, but something like that will just, a whole carnival atmosphere would just sort of bring that all back. So for me, it's the talk about moving Magic Round to Sydney, which I think is just BS, to be honest.
So you wouldn't take it to Bankwest?
No, I wouldn't. Sydney's got enough football, I feel. They can't fill the crowds as it is.
Well, that's because no one likes the Dogs. No one likes the Rabbitohs. They play in an 82,000-seated stadium. I reckon if you take it to you've got to take it somewhere like Parramatta, which is, say, 40,000. So that's very, very much the same as Lang Park or Suncorp.
Yeah.
Very much the same. I reckon you'll have exactly the same interest. And that's literally in the West, which I could be wrong, but it is up there in one of the top 5 in the Southern Hemisphere for population boom.
Mate, maybe if Mundine does start coaching the Dogs, they might get some more crowd attendance.
Well, at least a couple of them will be able to punch on if it does come to it. But
we'll take a quick break and we'll be back with some other side on the other side of the break. Stick around.
Having a bet on sport this week? Top this.
Whether you're into cricket and curling or golf and greyhounds, TopSport will let you on for plenty. And with literally hundreds of markets from your own backyard to the international stage, TopSport has you well covered. So if you want to get the top odds every time, bet with TopSport.
Top that. Download the app today. TopSport. Feel the excitement.
Don't let the game play you. Stay in control. Gamble responsibly.
We're back. We're going to jump straight into beer of the week, or should we say cider of the week this week, boys. What is the Whitebull Hotel, great sponsor of the show each and every week, will give us a beer to sample, and the boys will give their stubby lid rating. What are they fixed up with this week, lads?
Mate, Hawkeye, he was flat out today. He was out doing deliveries in the van.
Was he?
He was. So I missed him. He was trying to line us up a different beer we haven't had, but due to the hectic schedule he runs, I missed him by about 20 minutes. So I handpicked this one, and I was hoping Birdo would like it. Summersby watermelon flavoured sparkling cider.
Oh.
Now, just off that, I would never order this. So that's why I thought I'd get it just to try it, something different. Got to be versatile these days.
Mix it up.
And I'll tell you what, that first sip was like drinking a packet of lollies. You can definitely taste the watermelon flavour. It's not too sweet. It's not like one of those cruiser drinks. It's not too bad. I wouldn't really call it a cider though, nearly. It's more of a, I don't know. What do you reckon? More like an alcoholic soda, I reckon, than a
it tastes like
a cider.
You know when you mix up cordial, and you got to get the right formula. It's like someone's super close to that. But I tell you, it's not growing on me. My first sip, I thought, oh yeah, that's good. And now I'm starting to. I've got bad memories of drinking pear cider once.
I know the Summersby cider doesn't sort of give you that beery aftertaste because I drink the pear and the apple previously. So is it similar with that? It sort of doesn't give you that
Yeah. It doesn't give you that beery sort of aftertaste. But at the same time, Chaz, as you said, plenty of watermelon in it. What is it? It's a 330ml bottle, 4% alcohol.
Twist top too.
Twist top.
Half a point.
So there, and it's one standard drink, so you can have maybe, depending on your body size and if you've had a bit of grub for lunch and whatever, you can probably have about 3 of these and still be able to drive. So it's best served over ice. So that might be where we're going wrong. I thought ice was illegal. Apparently not.
It didn't fit much on a spoon. But
yeah,
anyway.
I suppose. But I tell you what, because it's a twist top, it's not bad. I'm going to give it 3 because it's a twist top, 3.5.
Good score. I like it.
Mate, I don't give out half points, so mine's just going to be a flat 3. I don't think I could have too many of these after almost finishing that one. Started off good, but I don't know.
It's just not a 2 years old or anything like that.
Yeah, I've got the hankering for a lager at the moment, so just a nice 3. But thanks again.
But I tell you what,
the Whitebull.
If it was that'd go down a gift. If you're like, when you're a couple of beers in and you want to change, rather than if you're maybe 14, 15, 20 odd schooners in and you just want that little sweetener,
maybe if
that's probably not a bad choice.
At home, over ice with a dash of vodka in it or something to soup it right up. That might be good.
Stone ginger ale. All right. We are very blessed to have our new set, which we love. But the one thing we do love the most is the piece hanging behind me, thanks to I Am Cartoonified, who have drafted up this amazing piece. You'll see it on your screen as we speak. Fantastic detail. And they're come on board to be a sponsor of Birdo's segment, which is just coming up now. But before we get to that, Ches has just got a little bit of a live read. And I do, plead and beg with you guys, if you do love the show, please support these companies that support us, TopSport, Whitebull, and I Am Cartoonified. Ches, over to you, mate.
All right, guys, got a little spiel here from the team at Cartoonified. At I Am Cartoonified, we aim to bring joy into everyone's homes through various forms of personalised art. To get Cartoonified, it is simple. Upload your photos, choose your theme, and we will make the magic happen. Love the NRL? No matter who you support, we can put your family and friends on print wearing your supported team jersey in front of your preferred stadium. Want to add your favourite players to the artwork? No problem. We can customise any print to fit your desired space and needs. From small table pieces to large wall-hung prints, printed and shipped from Australia. Now head to the website iamcartoonified.com and use the code SGM15, that's SGM15, and you'll receive 15% off store-wide for the month of May. We're a bit over halfway through, mate, so we've still got a couple of weeks left for that promo, guys. Anyone that wants something like that, jump on and use that code, get you 15% off. Very generous, I think, 15% too.
Very good, mate. Love that. That's your best read yet, I think.
Oh, thanks, mate.
Nailed it.
More and more like John. Is Valvoline ads coming your way as well, I believe?
Pirelli tyres arcs, but I wasn't quite sure.
It's one of those things. I did the live read for the Manscape, and not that we're not illiterate, but you're looking at it going, I'm gonna stuff this up. But
there's a little section of that where it's just towards the tail end, it almost gets jumbled.
Yeah, and then you're sort of thinking to yourself, going, shit, I'm going all right here. So, and then anyway, pressure's on. But boys, this week we're going to do the $1 Million Men. So there's a couple. There's 10 of them all up that are 900 plus. But we're going to stick to the million, and then we're going to work our way through it. So, boys, this week I'm going to start at the bottom of my list. So this week, 3 of them. Ben Hunt, who's on $1 million. Now, also in this too, boys, I want you to include that they are on $1 million in their player rating too. Last year, I've given Ben Hunt a 5, and I think that's been very, very generous. This week, I'm going to give him a 5 as well. He doesn't do much at all for a bloke who's on. I think it was exactly $1 million.
1.2, I think.
A lot of money for it, isn't it? Yeah, mate. I reckon last year 4 probably. This year he's improved. This year, I don't know whether it's as a collective from the whole team that makes him look that way. Has played a bit better, but being very generous. I'd 6, maybe a 6.5, stretching it.
He's in a side where I think if he wasn't in that Dragon side, they'd be a lot further down the ladder, if that makes sense. I know you said Birdo doesn't do a lot, but I think if they didn't have him, they'd be a lot worse off, if that makes sense. For the $1 million price tag, yeah, he probably hasn't lived up to that. And I think that's, widely known. Most people will agree with that. If he was on 800,000, you probably wouldn't be talking so much about it, you know what I mean? I think him and Chad Townsend, same price. If they were the same price, then you probably wouldn't, bat an eyelid. But yeah, last year, I'm tending to agree with you, mate. I'm going to go a 5 last year, but I'm going to put him up to a 6 this year. I think he's been all right this year in the Queensland jumper.
Yeah.
Just put a Queensland jumper over his red and white one every week and he'll play out of his skin.
Yeah, he goes to 11.
It's fantastic. A bit like Dane Gagai used to be. So, yeah, I'm going to go 5 last year, 6 this year. It's just gone up a little bit for me, I think. But, yeah, I think they'd be pretty poor off if they didn't have him.
Yeah, I think he's one of those sort of players too. If there were more than 8, if there were more than 8 players on $1 million, so if there was, say, 20 and he was on $1 million and he was down the bottom of the order, wouldn't be such a big deal. It's just that they're only just starting to peak in that $1 million a season, and unfortunately, he hasn't exactly provided, but he's still got a couple of years to go. Boys, this is one for you, Ches. Teddy Tedesco. Very good, very consistent. Puts on a New South Wales jersey, as you said about putting on the jersey, the Origin jersey. Tedesco puts on his Blues jersey, and he goes from, 100% effort at the Chooks to 200% effort. The bloke is an absolute machine, and a lot of people probably don't give him as much credit as to what he does off the ball as well. Boys, I'm going to give him an 8 last year. I'm going to give him an 8 again this year.
Yeah, I'm very critical with him. This is probably a little bit harsh, but fair at the same time. I think last year he sort of carried that side very, very well with all the players missing, all the injuries. Really stood up and helped the boys through. Last year, definitely an 8. This year, I feel he's trying too hard. He's trying to make something off every play. He's not playing how he usually plays most games. Just found a lot of inconsistency with him this year. Wouldn't say disappointing. It's just he's just not his usual self. We'll find out in a few weeks when Origin comes how good he can be, putting the old blue shirt back on. But this year, at the moment, just for the Chooks, I'm going to give him a 6.
Controversial. Last year, boys, I'm going to give him 9. I think the Roosters only got to where they were last year off the back of him. He held that team together. I get what you say, Ches, about trying too hard, and I think he did that in the early rounds this year. He was trying too much and wasn't letting the ball go to Kiri and Walker. But last couple of weeks, I think they've found that balance, and Robbo did say it'd take about 8 to 10 weeks, and he's pretty much spot on because they kind of hit their straps the last couple of weeks. I'm going to give him an 8.5. I think he's just dipped a little bit for me from last year, but in saying that, he probably hasn't had to do as much in these last few weeks as he was having to do last year. So his rump, though, I give his rump a marble rating of 10. Have you seen the size of that?
Yeah.
It is. Honestly, it'd be a marble rating of 10 if you were to buy that at the butcher.
That's
so it's fantastic.
Premium.
And see, I sort of void that game we had against the Titans the other week too. They were rubbish. Like he did get 3 tries in that one. They were pretty much walk and fall over tries. Like yes, he did get some points in that for the super coach things and that, but he didn't get pushed to get them, so he didn't really have that strong defence. This week will test him. This will be one of the key moments, and I hope he proves me wrong. Really do.
I think he'll have a good game this weekend. They'll be rolling a bit of energy out of that Parramatta game last year. And as I said, to speak of that, the Blues and the Maroons jersey, 22 days and counting as of today. So
Stop it.
Sweating
Stop it. I won't be able to get out from under this desk.
Hey, the desk will start lifting, boys. Lucky last for the day, Jason Taumalolo. I think he was the first one to be $1 million man. He was 1, 2, or 3 anyway. In around players like Munster, etc. So, boys, last year I'm going to give him a 6. I think the side collectively struggled last year. Also, he himself had a couple of niggles and a couple of injuries, which sort of cost him a little bit. But boys, I tell you what, he's hands and heels above of where he was last year. Boys, 6 last year. I'm going to give him a 7 this year, and that's going to give him plenty of room to improve because I think that's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, he struggled last year, had injuries. He he had a couple of COVID isolation injuries, if we remember, a few wrist injuries. I think he broke one hand and just got it fixed and then broke the other when he come back. There was all that controversy with him and not playing the full 80 minutes and being rested and all this kind of stuff. But he's hit his strap this year. What did you give him last year? A 6? I'm going to agree with that. I'm going to give him I'm going to go 8 this year. I think he's playing really well to the whole team. But he's got some boys going with him now. Ruben Cotter. A couple of those other forwards, Lukey, Nanai, like he's got some troops around him that are playing well as well. So I think that helps his game. He doesn't have to do it all by himself. So I'm going to go an 8. I like JT.
Yeah, I agree with the 6 from last year. I think collectively as a side, there was just nothing there. He was one of the better players if they had one last year, apart from his injuries and everything. This year, I reckon probably about a 7, 7.5. It seems to be one of them players that the defending sides have worked out now. They're starting to chop him down early and quick. Remember Big Papali from Canberra used to barnstorm for a while. Now they've worked out how to get him, and they've sort of done the same thing to Big Tamalalo. Tell you what, though, his hair, like you play 80 minutes of footy nearly, and your hair's, buddy, looks like you come out of a Pantene ad. Amazing. I reckon.
You jealous?
Oh, definitely. Mate, I'm going to be nice and give him a nice 7.5.
Very good. I like that one. The $1 million row.
$1 million men rather. Next year we're gonna keep chipping away to the top 10. So I believe 10 is Mitchell Moses. And all the way up the top, the likes of Munster, etc. So stay tuned. So we'll tick all 10 of them off eventually.
Sounds great. Thank you again to I Am Cartoonified for their sponsorship of the show. They not only do the rugby league pieces, they do the Simpsons, they do Disney. They can just cartoonify your dogs, your pets, your car, anything like that. So head on over to that website that's on screen now. Use the code SGM15 at checkout. Use it right at the end of checkout. Great people to deal with as well. Nothing seems to be too much of a issue or trouble for them. And, head on over and support some great Aussie companies that support a great Aussie show like ours. Let's jump into a few games, boys, before this little segment wraps up. And kicking us off on Thursday night is the Knights up against the Broncos. This one's at 7:50pm on Thursday at McDonald Jones Stadium. Looking at the market there, boys, the Knights are outsiders at $2.85. Broncos are the favourites here at $1.44. The line is set at 6.5. You can get the Knights at the plus for $1.85 or the Broncos at the minus for $1.95. Tell you what, boys, Broncos were good last week. Knights got that monkey off their back, but only just. How do you see this one playing out? And do you think Broncos will continue their form?
Yeah, I can't see Broncos slumping too much after last week. They were red hot, weren't they? Be interested to see how the Knights handle them this week. Definitely leaning towards Broncos for this game. Probably have them with the 13 plus there. That Selwyn Cobbo last week, it was amazing, wasn't he? So quick, so talented. Reynolds was on fire. All the big men done their job. The Knights got a massive handful this week.
Just looking at the lineup there, boys. Broncos run change from last week, despite there's a bit of injury for Tamari Martin, so he might shift out, and Cobbo might move on into the fullback role there. But for the Knights, there's a bit of change there. Frizzell comes back; he's been out for a while, and number 6, Anthony Milford, making his debut. So that'll be interesting to see how he goes there in a short. He hasn't been there very long, so see what his combinations like with Clune.
Now, have you noticed? Yeah, I don't really know about that combination. Have you noticed when players come back the following year and play their previous club that they play with, they always get a try?
Yeah,
you always noticed that?
Yeah. I said the other week.
Said that.
I said the other week. I'm going to start betting on milestones. Mind you, he did play. He didn't end up playing for South, did he? That didn't actually.
No, he didn't actually have a game.
Yeah. Yeah, well, maybe a sneaky fiver on him. He'd be paying a fair bit, I reckon.
It would be. I'll have it on
TopSport. We'll have a look. What are your thoughts, J-Rod?
I think it might not be too bad a game, but I tell you what, Newcastle want to come out with a little bit of fire in the belly. Otherwise, I tell you what, the Broncos might end up pulling their pants down and turn it into a bit of a score. Going off Reynolds' form, Cobbo, the front rowers, Flegler and those sort of boys, mate. I think Broncos are a 100% a different team, and it just goes to show where there's a little bit of direction. But I tell you what, there are some positives for Newcastle. coming off a win last week, but I tell you what, it was very, very ordinary to watch. So, as I said, they want to come out firing and try and match Brisbane in the first 15, 20 minutes. Otherwise, they might find themselves, 16, 18-0 down very quickly. So, but we'll see how we go. But
if you're liking for a try, $4.30. If you're liking for first try scorer, $26.
Holy dolly.
26.
Who's multi? It's yours, isn't it?
My multi. So I'm going to go Broncos head-to-head. Now, what I'm going to go here is the Broncos to be the first team to score. I'm going to go Cobbo and anytime try scorer. And I'm going to go the points to be over 39.5, and that'll get you $5.43. I just think I think Newcastle have got a couple points in them. So, I think it won't be close. I think Brisbane will do them, but I still think they'll be over that 40 mark overall.
Yeah, I can see Broncos racking up about another 30 points for themselves this weekend.
Yeah, and, Newcastle knocking up 12, getting like a late first half try sort of thing, and maybe, something in there, so...
We'll move on to the next game, boys. We won't spend too much time on this, and apologise to the fans of the clubs that are coming up here. But Tigers versus the Bulldogs, boys. This one 6 p.m. Friday night at Leichhardt Oval. Head-to-head, the Tigers are the favourites here at $1.80. The Bulldogs $2.05. And the line is only set at 1.5, so they reckon it's going to be a pretty close one. You can get the Tigers at the minus for $1.85, or the Doggies at the plus for $1.95. Obviously, no Trent Barrett and a few other players there. Have talk about being gone, but the one player that is gone is Brent Naden, gone from the Dogs to the Tigers, who will be playing the Dogs. Pretty crazy, isn't it?
No loss.
Anytime try scorer, Brent Naden.
Yeah, well, milestone game, exactly right. Quickly touch, boys, but we won't spend too much time. As I said, we'll get on others. But Lukey Brooks, he's out with a hamstring injury. Jock Madden comes in to partner Hastings there, and a few others going about. But just looking at the Doggies, boys, there's meant to be a bit of a flu going through the squad. They reckon that Addo Carr and also Matty Burton might be out, and a few others. So their two best players look like they're going to be out. I'd be getting on the Tigers now before that price comes in any tighter, I reckon.
Mate, my tips are already done for this week. I got in nice and early. I took the Tigers, and it's mainly because of all the ruckus happening down there at the Bulldogs camp at the moment. Their head's going to be all over the place, and then with this flu thing on top of it, it's just stacking on. There's going to be too much for them. They might have beat the Chooks, but they won't beat the Tigers.
I seen a stat on the Matty John show, maybe 12 months, 18, 24 months ago, and it was on those, say, when a coach coaches against his old side, there's a massive win percentage there. And also too, when there's massive disruptions such as a coaching loss, those sides have turned out the losing side. The losing the coach have actually come out and scored and won the game. So there's actually a good stat on there. But at the same time, it's just a nightmare, boys. You said you won't touch on it too much. I won't be watching. That's all I've got.
Well, it's your multi, so let the punters know, and then we'll go to a quick ad.
Unfortunately, it is. Boys, Addo Carr, Ken Mamalo, the two wingers, anytime try scorers, and the West Tigers head-to-head.
And that's granted that the Fox does play as well. Boys, we talk about milestone having a bet on the game.
That's $6.52.
$6.52 for that one. Good price. Alex Twal plays his 100th game, hasn't scored a try yet. And if you like him for a try, $14. First try scorer,
50s?
75.
70s, holy
75.
dooly.
They should round up to 100, I reckon. 100 for his 100th game.
Yeah, and then
Might have a chat to Tristan and see if we can do that.
Brian Fletcher might know a few people in the know and might be able to get someone to dodge one up.
We'll take a quick break and hit the other games the other side of it. Stick around.
Another half win. From punters jumping in early or waiting too late. You get a good price on one leg, but the others have shortened dramatically. You still win, but it feels like you half win. Introducing TopSport's best of the best multi. Get top odds on every leg, every time. Don't be one of these. Just bet and forget with Bob Multi. TopSport. Feel the excitement.
Don't let the game play you. Stay in control. Gamble responsibly.
All right, we're back. We're going to hit the other games. We'll pump through this one, boys. Eels versus Manly. This one is Friday, 7:55 at CommBank Stadium. Eels are the favourite here at $1.40. Manly outsiders at $3. The line is set at 7.5. Eels at the minus for $1.90, or you can get Manly at the plus also for $1.90. Both coming off a loss last week, boys. The Eels were, valiant, I suppose, against the Chooks, but Manly looked pretty poor. That injury concerned to Tommy Trbojevic too, whether he'll play. I would be waiting to an hour before kickoff before putting any bets on in regards to Manly for this one. Thoughts?
Do you want me to jump in first, and you can do yours with the Mouldy?
Yeah, do that. Yeah,
I think I wouldn't like to be playing Para this week after just getting edged out last week. I think they're going to come out red hot and strong. I sent you that message last week with the Manly game. I said they better call the mechanic because the turbos are breaking down. I think
one of your best.
Nailed it too.
Yeah, I think we'll see. Those boys got told to play through the pain as well. So if they're going to push players like that and force them into an even worse injury, it could end up being something serious.
Well, you saw that with Pappenhausen the other week. He had that sore knee, I believe. He got clipped in his knee and he pushed through it and come back and then his hamstring. And he's out for 6 weeks.
Was that the hyperextension one that he done?
No, he got twisted in a tackle with Pappenhausen.
Yep.
Did his knee, had a bit of strapping on it, and then came out at half time and then did his hamstring because he was compensating for it. Then he's out for 4 weeks. Whereas if they just rested him, he might have missed 1 week. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. I think Manly's in for a bit of a shock this week. I think if they do miss those players from injury and the way that Parramatta have been playing, they're going to have to come out with something special.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there with Tommy Turbo. For a bloke, we were talking about $1 million men before. He's one of them, and he's a absolutely one of the most crucial people in their squad by a country mile. It almost seems to me what they need to do is just say, righto, mate, go and have yourself 2 weeks, go and get yourself as much recovery, as much physio, and just go for a light jog every afternoon or pop down to train and do little bits and pieces here. Get yourself right, because I'd rather see him miss 2 games now than miss 12 games later on in the season. They missed the finals and miss a chance at the title. So
yeah, 100%. And in saying that, you saw he's playing injured, I think. Obviously playing injured with that knee. He's got a lot of strapping on it, but I don't think he's 100% fit. And I know the competition they played when he was out wasn't as good, but they were playing all right without him.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you rely too much on one of those good players. If you got like a marquee man, you rely too much. Whereas when he was out, Cherry Evans was pushing the ball left to right. He was killing it with his kicking game and all that. Just a bit of injury news before you get into yours. Mouldy there, Birdo. Niokore comes back into the bench there, and that pushes Cartwright to the reserves. Madison is also switched with Nathan Brown, so he's going to be a starting lock. What do you think of that?
I think I'm a fan of that because they did that a couple times last year. I think when you look at Nathan Brown's workload, I think he does a little bit too much for his own good. So I think this might be just give him a couple of minutes on the bench, a couple extra more. The bloke, I follow him on Instagram, and I tell you what, he's an ambassador for Pain Away Australia, and I know why. So the bloke hooks in. But the other news too is Mike Acevo's named for Parramatta reserve grade this weekend. So a couple of weeks, mate. He and him and young Russell might be back sooner rather than later. So
just real quick. Now you're saying he's been playing. You think he's been playing injured, Turbo? Does he look like he's been slow? Like not last weekend's games, but probably 2 weeks before that. He's looked slow. He hasn't been able to catch. Yeah,
I don't think he's right. And again, like what Berto said, may as well rest him for 2, 3, maybe even 4 weeks. Bit of short-term pain, long-term gain kind of thing.
He gets those deeper balls and he really hits that line hard. That's been missing as well.
Yeah.
So
your Mouldy. Birdo.
Yeah, my multi. So this one I'm going to go Para head to head. I want to touch a margin there. I want to stay away from that. Parramatta head to head. Gutho anytime try scorer, and I'm going to go the halftime line of Parramatta -3.5. So that's $4.01.
So at halftime they've got to be leading by 4 points.
4 points minimum. Yep.
Yeah, cool.
That's a good bet, that one.
Next game, boys, we'll touch lightly on this and move on. Dragons versus the Warriors. This one's at Saturday, 3 p.m. at Netstrata Jubilee Oval. Dragons are the favourites here at $1.54. If you do like the Warriors, get them at $2.50, which is a good price. $4.5 is the line. You get the Dragons at the minus for $1.95 or the Warriors at the plus for $1.85. Both these teams aren't playing very great at the moment. I don't know if I would be watching this one. Meant to be a bit of rain about too, so it could be a pretty awful game. I'll just quickly see if there's any injury news, boys, there. Tyrell Sloan, he's been pushed out into the reserves again with Cody Ramsey coming in to play fullback. And then also Joshy Maguire, he's also out with a bit of a groin injury he picked up last week, and I think his 150th game. He didn't have a very good game, got sin binned and then had an early shower as well. And Tohu Harris, he's back in the starting side for the Warriors, which after last week as well, he played pretty well. And boys, I can see there, number 25, Chanel Harris-Tavita, come back from a busted nut when he ruptured his testicle a couple of weeks ago. That's a good effort.
Apparently, he put up a big thank you to the surgeons, etc. Apparently, they saved it.
Yeah, right.
It's still functional.
I would have been like, can you add a couple of extra inches there?
While you're at it, do a couple of skin grafts.
How do you see this one playing out? And whoever's multi it is, let's hit it quick.
I'm going to go to the Warriors after their second half performance against the Rabbitohs last week. I know the Rabbitohs
that was horrible.
I know the Rabbitohs switched off big time, but I think they've got a little bit of momentum behind them. And I tell you what, if they don't, then Nathan Brown might be the next coach to be tapped on the shoulder.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to go Dragons.
Do you boys have a coin?
Yeah,
That's what it's like. Mate, my multi for this one, I think the Dragons just might do them. I think there's going to be not many points. So I've just gone Dragons, given the Warriors 4.5 start. The total points to be under 40.5. I don't think there's going to be too many big scores in this one. And Big Moses Sully, anytime try scorer, $13.48.
I like that. Moses Sully's been playing. He's been playing all right.
Yeah, 100%. Boys, next game. This one will probably be the game of the round, I think, if not this, the next game. But this one's the Cowboys up against the Storm, Saturday, 5:30 p.m, Queensland Country Bank Stadium. Cowboys are the outsiders, as Tristan mentioned before, $2.60 if you like the Storm, $1.50 there. The line is set at 5.5. Get the Cowboys at the plus for $1.95 or the Storm at the minus for $1.85. Haven't checked the weather, boys, but hopefully it's a nice dry track up there compared to Magic Round last week, which was, I don't think we saw the best out of the Storm-Panthers game, even though the Panthers were terrific. I think if it was dry footy, would have been an even better game. Pappenhausen's still out. Jerome Hughes possibly in. Keep an eye on that team sheet an hour before kickoff.
But Remus Smith's still out too, I think.
He's out. He's out for quite a few weeks with a ruptured pec. No changes to the Cowboys. They're 1 through 17 as for last week. And just looking at the Storm there, as I said, Hughes meant to be coming in. And Big Nelson, he's out with an MCL injury. He'll be out for probably 4 weeks, they reckon. So the cheese, Brendan Smith's been named at prop to replace him there, and a bit of a change on the bench. Thoughts on this one, boys?
I think this is, like we said earlier, this will sort the boys from the men in the Tigers roster. The only thing I'm not settled on at the moment, I watched the game on the weekend. I actually thought it was actually a really good game. I thought that the Cowboys flowed really well and showed a lot. The only thing I'm not a big fan of is how they're playing the hammer. Tabuai Fido at the moment is just in a position where, so I'm looking at the stats now. So for him to get game time, both Peter Hiku and Scotty Drinkwater both had to miss minutes collectively between the two of them. But at the same time, he's just where does he go in?
Yeah.
The only reason why I'm against that is I just don't want to see like a breakdown of momentum, or if someone might get caught out of position because there's a little bit of chop and change, and you just break the flow in the back line. But I tell you what, he's too good not to have in there. So
yeah,
that's the only problem. But boys, sort the boys out from the men. I'm going to let the market influence me here, and I'll go Melbourne. But it's a tough game. I think the Cowboys are outright third and deservingly so. But I'm going to stick with Melbourne.
Melbourne don't very often lose 2 games in a row as well, so there'll be a big. They would have got hammered by Bellamy, I reckon.
I tell you what, imagine if they lose this week.
Bit of a bounce back factor there. Ches, your Malt and your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely what you're saying, Bert. I agree with that. This will be the little pressure cooker for the Cowboys, I think. See what they're really made of. They'll have to bring out some big cojones, I think, to get over the Storm in this one. Definitely possible, the way they've been playing. Absolutely on fire. Surprised me, probably surprised you boys, and probably most of the country.
Item is my spoon.
Try to keep this one nice and simple. I need to get a multi on 10 weeks and the big donut at the moment, and 0 wins. So I've gone Storm, giving Cowboys 5.5 start. the match to be over 39.5 points. Coats and drink water any timers, $13.21.
Yeah,
that's good.
We definitely do need a win, that's for sure. You do. I've got a couple. You've got a couple of these. Big duck egg.
Hey, big hero over here during the off season.
Boys, the next game, this one could nearly trump the game before it. This is the Roosters up against the Panthers at the SCG at Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Head to head, the Roosters are the outsiders here, $3.80 with the Panthers, the clear favourite at $1.27. The line is set at 9.5. You can get the Roosters at the plus for $1.90, or the Panthers at the minus also for $1.90. Boys, I'll be in Sydney and have the chance to go to this game, but I've checked the forecast. It meant to be 10 to 20 mil of rain, so I probably won't go. And I just hope that it doesn't rain that much because, again, similar to last week's game, the Panthers Storm, I hope the wet weather doesn't ruin a great game.
What are you made of sugar? You're going to melt or something, are you? You never heard of a poncho?
Did you see those poor pricks up at bloody
Sit
Suncorp?
up in the nosebleeds and get a pair of binoculars.
Yeah, exactly. Might as well just watch it at home. Thank you very much. Ches, I'll throw to you first, and it's your team. What are your chances?
And be honest, don't be...
No. We're going to go to the chemist, I think, get some blood pressure tablets before I watch this game. It's going to... Definitely got the capability of beating Panthers. At the moment, I don't think that we can. I think Panthers, they're just too consistent, just too solid, especially if it's raining. Both sides can play wet footy. I think the Panthers have just got the edge in this one. That 9.5 line bet, though, that's very enticing. I'm going to go with Panthers. I took Parramatta last week in the tips. Of course, Roosters won, but this week I'm going to just have to play it smart and go Panthers.
Bit of a reverse psychology there.
Yeah.
I like it. Your thoughts quickly, and then we'll go back to Ches for the multi.
Well, I should have gone the Roosters last week. As I said, there was chooks all over me. I couldn't get rid of them. Ches, I think you're very critical of the Roosters. I think they're outstanding at the moment. They're slowly starting to gel, as you touched on earlier, Clint. I think they'll handle it fairly well. One thing about the Penrith, they like to get up, grind. They'll bomb your forwards and keep you in that area. And the other thing too about Nathan Cleary, will kick into corners, and basically like a game of soccer, you kick the ball into the corners, you just get in there and press them and then make them make the error. Whereas I think both Teddy, Tupou and Suwali, I think they'll handle those kicks. So they'll obviously try and target Suwali, but Suwali's turning into a freak. So I think that kick and chase game, I think you will be able to match them. I think their forwards will beat your forwards. But I tell you what, if Wairea Hargraves and Lindsay Collins get in there, get amongst them, do a bit of bruising, like that Parramatta game, for example, I think you guys can match them. But I'll just, again, I'm going to let the market influence me.
I'm hoping this is the game where actually Crichton fires. Angus Crichton fires. This should be his game to really step up, I think, and really put the foot down.
Hopefully he does. Quickly before your multi, Victor Radley out for about 4 to 6 weeks with that syndesmosis, how do you spell it? Injury as well. So a bit of a big loss there for the Roosters. Your multi, Ches, take us away.
Mate, I can see a fair few points in this one, wet or dry, so I've gone over 38.5. Tupou and the big kick-out any-timers. That's $10.57. Kick-out's been playing some great footy lately. It's really good.
Running some damn good lines too, and dropping some good ball and playing on from
it. Sunday game, boys. This one, South versus Raiders. Sunday, 2 p.m. at Apex Oval in Dubbo. Another game taking out the regional areas, which is fantastic for us that are in regional areas. We love that. South are the clear favourites here, $1.57. If you like the Raiders, get them for $2.40 thanks to TopSport. That's head-to-head. The line is set at 4.5. South at the minus for $1.95, or you got the Raiders at the plus for $1.85. South were pretty poor last week in that second half, boys. It was, I think it was 32-6, and it came back to be 32-30. Leaked a lot of points, and the Raiders were pretty good. They were down to 11 men there at one stage, lost 3 men total to the sin bin over the course of an 80-minute match, and got the victory. So against the Sharkies, which were meant to win. The Sharkies were clear favourites to win that game. So they showed a bit of grit and a bit of determination, which was really good. How do you see this one playing out? Do you think South will be able to hold them off?
As I said before, I've already done the tips for this week. I've taken pretty much all the favourites apart from this game. I've got a feeling the Raiders are going to do them this week. I think after last week, wanted this game a little bit of a spur on, and the way the Souths have been, especially with that, giving up a lead like that, almost like nearly getting done. I don't know. Do you just like give up trying, sort of, and like you lose your focus because you're so far ahead, or did they just get outplayed for that back end? But I've got a strong feeling. The Guru and Hawkeye are like this. The Raiders to win this week.
Jackie Whiten comes back in as well, boys. So that'll be good for them as well, for the Raiders. I'll hit. Anything you want to say, Berto?
I thought the Raiders were good last week. Having said that, I didn't watch all the game. I was at my nephew's 4th birthday party at the Sport and Rec Centre. And I didn't want to be like that uncle that sits in the corner and just studies his phone. So I was watching little bits and pieces. I was talking, just bouncing around, talking to people. But what I did see, the Raiders were really strong. They played a really good brand of football. And unfortunately, Cronulla were very ordinary from what I've seen. Yeah. But credit to the Raiders. They've been in a difficult spot and they ground that out. And the scoreline says they won convincingly. Ches, I'm going to go the Raiders with you.
I've gone opposite, boys. My multi, I've gone Souths head-to-head. AJ, anytime try scorer, and Cody Walker, also an anytime try scorer there for $6.35. I think Souths, I don't think they can be as poor as they were in that second half. And I'm just sick of picking the Raiders. I've picked them all year, and they've let me down. Every time I don't pick them, they win, which has been twice, I think.
I was going to say, this could be another time.
Out of those two players, who's going to be missing next week?
Sorry, mate.
I said, out of those two players, the try scorers, who's going to be injured next week? Put the voodoo on them again.
Last game of the round, boys, and this one we spoke about with Tristan. This is the Titans up against the Sharks, Sunday, 4:05 p.m. at Seabus Super Stadium up there at the Gold Coast. $2.80 if you do like the Titans, $1.44 for the Sharkies. The line is set at 6.5, plus $1.95 for the Titans, or you can get the Sharks at the minus for $1.85. Nicho Hines has moved back into number 7, which I think needed to happen. And also that's now brought in Lachlan Miller, making his debut at number 1. As Tristan mentioned at the top of the show, boys, I think they're really missing William Kennedy. And you can see it also with Pappenhausen. Not saying that William Kennedy is the same kind of player, but once you take one player out of that spine, the team falls apart. You know what I mean? Like certain teams fall apart and they just don't have the same flow, the same direction. And he starts the sets off really well, William Kennedy, bring that ball back similar to a Pappenhausen. I think they've really missed that as well. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think it's a massive change structurally wise too by moving Nicho Hines to fullback. He's playing a lot more of a hands-on sort of game. A fullback loves to get their hands on the ball, but not quite as much as he would in the halves. So that'll break a little bit of flow, a little bit more creativity too. So it'd be good to see him go back into the halves. I think they'll be too strong. Last week I did see an interview with Big Tino Fasua Alamalawi, and he was just shining. He's thriving off it. And he said the best thing for his game from a mental point of view too is also the captaincy. So, all credit to the Titans, and Jaden Campbell's come back and he played a solid part last week. But boys, I think it'll be a Cronulla victory. I think.
Yeah, I was a bit on the fence for a while with this game.
Cronulla love playing on Sunday too.
Yeah, it just took me a while to sort of visualise what can happen here. I think the biggest thing was like the movement of Hines there back into the halves role, which pushed me to eventually pick Cronulla. But I think if Titans can play well here, and then it could be a similar result to what happened last week when the Sharks played Raiders, they might get into a bit of a rut again. But I think with Nicho Hines back there at 7, they're just a little bit too strong, I think.
Your boy Dale Finucane out again. Obviously got that bad head knock last week, but he's actually out with a knee injury. He hurt his knee as he got knocked out. I fear for him, boys, with those head concussions. That's about his 3rd this year, I believe. He's in that too. Wade Graham, not so much Boyd Cordner yet, I don't think, but in that category where he's got to be really careful. 1, 2 more, especially this year. Unfortunately, it might be the end of him.
Yeah, you just have a look at Ryan Madison, for example. He's one who had a very severe head knock last year. Felice Kafusi, I think it was, almost murdered him.
But, no, with the elbow, yes.
But, that goes off that same thing. It's only a matter of time, and someone might end up tapping him on the shoulder and say, "Brother, there's one more. We might have to talk a retirement."
100%. My multi, again, to round us out, I've gone over 41.5 total points. I think there'll be a try-fest here. Sione Katoa will get one, as to Bo Fermor, both anytime try scorers there for $10.78. So not a bad little multi there. So we're having $15 on that. Now, boys, the guru.
The man.
2 weeks in a row, he's missed out by one leg.
Whisker.
Unfortunately, last week he had Val Holmes. He needed Val Holmes to get across anytime try scorer. If you have a look at the score sheet, every other player in the Cowboys' back line got across, but they just couldn't give the ball to Val. So, unfortunately, he's missed that. But this week, boys, he's gone the Broncos head-to-head. Now, I think that's a pretty good, pretty spot on there. Cowboys, he's picked his own line here. He's gone plus 12.5 in the alternate handicap. So he's given the plus 12.5 there, the Cowboys, and Stephen Crichton for the Panthers, anytime try scorer. He's bundled all three of those up. $5.10 for those of you that are new to the show. The guru is the, what is he, Ches? What's your name?
I call him the Gambling Gazelle.
Gambling Gazelle.
The wizard.
The wizard, the betting savant.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can get that up and get some runs on the board, because he's only got another week after this and he might get cut otherwise. So.
Then we might have to just run into a random down there at the ball.
Does anyone send your bets in? We'll put it on. But yeah, I like that. So Broncos head-to-head, Cowboys at plus 12.5, and that's the line, and also Stephen Crichton to get across any time. Boys, we need to wrap this show up. Is there anything else you want to say to the punters before we do?
Now, quickly, don't forget to put your tips on again. The two boys that were left in the knockout round last week picked the same team again, and that team lost. So those boys up again. Make sure you put your knockout team in for this week.
Yep, good shout, good shout.
Nah, I'm happy. I'm cruising.
I'll say it, enjoy the football, gamble responsibly, and don't eat your soup with a fork. We'll catch you next week. See ya.